everyone. It's nice to see all of you. Sorry for the delayed agenda that I didn't get sent out until this morning. We do have kind of a somewhat full schedule for today, and I don't see Greg Hitzroth yet. He's going to give us a kind of an overview of regional perspective on aquatic invasives. And so I'm hoping he's gonna show up soon. We did communicate yesterday, but if you hear me clicking in the background, it's probably because I'm sending him an email to remind him to join us. But we can start with just some introductions. I always like to, let everybody give a chance to tell who they are and give us just a little perspective on what they're doing, what their what their perspectives are for the day. So my name is Patty Vitt. I'm with Lake County Forest Preserve District, and I'm currently co-lead for the Healthy Landscapes team. So Jim, I can see you on my screen next.
Yes, Jim Anderson. I sit on the steering committee for Chicago Wilderness and also with Citizens for Conservation. And Tom Meehan, you want to go next?
Unmute myself. Hi, I'm Tom Meehan, and I'm the VP of Veterinary Services at Brookfield Zoo. And I'm a longtime member of the Wildlife Task Force. So I'm here to gather information about the workings of the Wildlife Task Force.
Cool. Matt, you look like you're next on my screen.
Oh, not sure if there's another Matt, but I'm Matt Evans. I'm at the Chicago Botanic Garden, and I also work with Friends of Illinois Nature Preserves. And I'll, hang on, let me see my screen. I'll pass it over to Mark.
Mark Johnston. I'm with the Field Museum. I work on CW Hub and also lead up the mapping team. I'll kick it over to Melissa.
Mark, I am Melissa Pustick. I'm the operations manager with the Chicago Region Trees Initiative based at the Morton Arboretum. And I'm also the chairperson for the Chicago Wilderness Alliance Urban Canopies team. And I will pass it off to Cassie.
Hey, this is Cassie. Sorry, I'm a project manager within the Natural Areas team at the Chicago Park District. Becky?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Becky Collings. I'm the Senior Resource Ecologist with the Forest Preserves of Cook County. I'll pass it to Lisa.
Hi there, I'm Lisa Lambros. I'm with the Village of Riverside. We have a landscape advisory commission that helps on our public lands and educating our residents. And I'll pass it over to Ted.
Morning, everybody. My name is Ted Hafner. I am the lead for the climate team. I also sit on the steering committee. And I will pass it to Andrew Piska, please.
Hi, I'm Andrew Pishka. I am the operations manager with Magnolia Land Partners. I'm kind of here in Mike Lester's absence. Yeah, I do a lot with the agricultural mitigation banking program with Magnolia.
You want to tag somebody, Andrew?
I'm sorry?
You want to grab somebody else? Let them
pass it to someone.
Oh, I haven't. Teresa has Teresa gone? Or Laura, rather.
Yeah, I'll go. Laura Riley, I'm the coordinator of Chicago Wilderness Alliance, and I'll pass it to Terry Horton.
Hi, I'm Terry Horton. I'm at Northwestern University. My interest here is looking at coupled human and natural systems and the perspective of planetary health.
And Casey, I don't think you've gone yet.
No, hello everyone. My name is Casey Sullivan. I'm at Argonne National Laboratory. I work on invasive species populations and habitat restoration, and I'm on a number of committees for Chicago Wilderness. Thank you.
Nina, how about you? I love your background, by the way.
Thank you. I'm Nina Carmichael. I'm the Leadership and Conservation Fellow at Champaign County Forest Preserve District. Work with all of the departments, getting a lot of experience doing different things. I'll pass it to Nicole.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Machuca. I'm an environmental social scientist at the Field Museum, work along with Mark Johnston. Hoping to catch Greg before my 10 o'clock, and I'll pass it to the phone number, whoever is on the phone. Or maybe MD O'Brien.
Hey, I'll go. It's Marco O'Brien. I run the native plant nursery for Stan Tech. We used to be JF New, then we're Cardinal, now we're Stan Tech. We're in northern Indiana here in Walkerton. We provide native plants and seed for restoration projects throughout the Midwest.
Jeff,
I'll jump in. Hi, Mike Dimitrov, Chicago Park District. I work with Nicole and Jacob Campbell at the Field Museum through Roots and Route and our Burnham Wildlife Corridor. I also oversee our biodiesel fueling program, and so I'm interested in invasive species as it relates to Lake Michigan. Thanks.
Cool. How about you?
I'll go ahead and hop on. Good morning, everybody. John Peters is my name. Restoration Ecology Manager here at McHenry County Conservation District.
Great. Now you, Jeff.
All right, I'm Jeff Mengler. I work for Hay and Associates, a member of the Corporate Council, and I am the president of the Fox River Ecosystem Partnership.
Lisa, I don't think we've heard from you yet.
Oh, yes, I went.
Did you go? Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
There's a lot of folks here today, so
Sharon. We had a few folks join us at the end too. Armand.
Yep. Sharon? And Sharon. I'm not sure who Sharon is.
Well, I'll go. I'm Mary Portman. I'm the landscape ecologist with Open Lands, and I mostly work on the Lands in Harmony program in Lake County.
Welcome. Nice to have you here. So Armand did just sign in not too long ago. Oh, nice background.
Nope. Hi, everyone. I'm a biologist with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Great. Nice to have you here. Well, I think that's everyone. I tried to get Sharon. I'm not sure. Oh, Katie Kuchera from the Wetlands Initiative.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm an ecologist with the Wetlands Initiative, sort of sitting in for Gary Sullivan, but maybe joining more in the future. Thanks.
Great. Thanks. So, and there is one person on the phone who is unidentified. You've got a 312 area code. Okay, they don't look like they're responding, so that's all right. So the first thing that I wanted to do was to kind of give some updates, because there's maybe some stuff going on that we don't yet maybe you don't know about. The first thing that I want to let everybody know is that all the folks in the steering committee, as well as the goal team leads and other folks, are in the very beginning phases of working towards the next Chicago Wilderness Alliance Congress in 2025. And you know, they're always looking for volunteers, input, help, kind of perspectives on what the Congress can be, what we should talk about, what we should address. So if you have any topics or workshops or activities that you think you would like to see at the next Congress, please do reach out to myself or Laura Riley, and so we can kind of get that included. The goal team leads are going to be, starting to meet pretty regularly, and then we hope that that'll get fleshed out with other people as the time gets closer, but it is kind of in the future. But got to start planning for that now. The next thing that I wanted to let you all know about is that there's another really great opportunity for equity training for the conservation community that's being offered through CWA. Thank you, Laura, that's great. And I'm going to drop the link for the training, the equity training, in the chat. This is I went to the last round of the equity training, the Jedi training that was offered, and it was really phenomenal. The first one has already been it's 5 different sessions that range from October 23 to March of 24. The first one is already fully subscribed. Oh, somebody's saying that my sound is going in and out. That's not great. I'll try and speak closer to my camera. The 5 sessions are why equity, diversity, and inclusion is vital to conservation goals. The second one on December 1st is understanding privilege and microaggressions. The third one is visioning for effective allyship, January 16th. The organization review lens is on February 21st. And then the last one is inclusive leadership, building culturally competent organizations and effectively leading diverse teams. And as Laura said, you can find descriptions of all of the sessions and register for the recorded session of the one that's fully booked now at the link. Yeah, all of the sessions will be recorded, so if you can't attend them live, you can tune in for the recorded version. So that's really great. Session 1 is fully claimed, but there are still spots for sessions 2 through 5. And really, I encourage you to attend one or more. As I said, the last set of trainings were really phenomenal. And
Patty, I wanted to add, thank you for highlighting that. And I wanted to add, one of the interesting things that happened yesterday is some organizations were doing watch parties within their own group so they could discuss afterwards separately, which I think was a great idea. And the other is the recordings are available for up to 2 years for unlimited viewings. So if you're not able to attend all of the sessions or you want to do this as an organization, you can take all of these recordings and do your own training series afterwards with your group specifically. So it's a great opportunity. Thank you, Forest Preserves of Cook County and IDNR, Urban Community Forestry Program, and U.S. Forest Service for sponsoring this. We're really thrilled.
And then I also wanted to kind of highlight some of the upcoming cafes. And again, they're available through a link, which I'm going to drop into the chat. And there's actually one later today. Place-based relational approaches to science management and policy. There's one on November 2nd, the case for art and culture centered urban green space design, and one on November 9th, workforce development consultation, the UN decade on ecosystem restoration. That one looks maybe of particular interest to all of us in this group. And we're working on planning one with Mike Lester with Magnolia, and it's going to be entitled Emerging Markets, Agricultural Wetland Mitigation Banking in the Chicago Wilderness Region. I think early December or early January. We're still working on finalizing the date for that. Speaking of organizing the date, the Wildlife Task Force is organizing a forum or a workshop for January or February of 2024. They are putting together a program for that. They don't yet have a final date. Once they do finalize the date, they're going to be sending out a call for presentation. So when that comes out, I will forward it to the group so that we can see if there's something that one of our group wants to contribute to that. Let's see, there's something else. Yeah, there's one more thing. And Greg is not here, so I'm not quite sure, and I haven't heard back from him from email. He did confirm yesterday, so I'm not sure what might have gotten in the way for him signing on today. But that's since that was most of the program for the rest of our time together, we may have a really short meeting today if he doesn't sign on soon. Let's see. So the last thing that I had on the agenda for today, after I'll let you. You want to jump in, Ted? You have your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Patty. I want to let this group know I'm involved in a couple of conversations that are sort of interesting surrounding landscape tool electrification. So if anybody is interested in that, I know there's an effort out of the Morton Arboretum and their sustainability person, Rachel Novick there. I'm not as sure about that one and what's going on there, but the other one I'm involved with is through the climate group. We're working with the C4 communities. And they are very interested in this transition to landscape electrification for health reasons and pollution reasons and all of that. I will put the next meeting date in the chat, but if you're interested in that, please do sign up and I'll put my email and the other organizers' email in that as well. Thank you, Patty. That's all I have.
Sure. Can you explain that a little bit? What you mean by that? What that is?
Yeah. So this is an awareness it's starting as an awareness campaign, right? But the C4 process works with small municipalities like Riverside, where Lisa is from, that have under or about 10 to 15,000 residents, mostly Western Cook County, small villages that have village boards and a president, but some limited staff. And so what they're trying to do is to get these groups and municipalities to make this transition to landscape electrification, battery packs, electric mowers, to reduce pollution and emissions, right? And I think they're kind of spot on with this campaign. So there are 3 working groups. There's one that's sort of involved with municipal governments. There's one that's sort of centering around contractors and operators. And then the third one is around education. And obviously there are connections through each. But it's a really interesting group. And I got to them through the climate group because we're working with Riverside and the C4. It's the same group that's doing both. So I thought it might be worth at least mentioning to this group that that effort is underway so that they know that there's a venue for this. Obviously, electrification has a whole lot of cost impacts and other considerations. But they're starting the discussion and it's a really interesting discussion. And there's some good ideas coming out of that. And based just on the fact that this group is, sort of centered on maintaining healthy landscapes, it seems to be a sort of a win-win connection to me. So that's why I raised my hand and kind of made this announcement. And they meet, I think, once a month. I'll put the next meeting in the chat and I'll also put our emails in there if you're interested in attending. You can either reach out to me or the organizer is Winton Jones, who I'm working with as part of the climate planning team for C4 projects.
Okay, cool. Do you know, are you guys talking about potential funding opportunities for municipalities to undertake electrification?
That is part of the municipal discussion for sure. So is ordinances and things like that. I know this group, so Winton is connected to Urban Efficiency Group, who is then connected to 7 Generations. And they just got a grant writer that used to work for NASA. So I think this is on his radar screen to kind of promote that whole hog, as well as the C4 resilience planning that I'm working with through the climate group on them with.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Really useful. Let's see. Nicole she wants to give another pitch for the November 2nd cafe. Michael Dimitrioff and others from the Chicago Park District Field Museum staff, Chicago artists talk about collaborations to create gathering spaces in the Burnham Wildlife Corridor. Thank you. That sounds really cool. I appreciate having some extra details presented to the group. So I forgot that I wanted to ask Melissa Kustik, who looks like she's talking in the background, to provide an update on the Urban Trees Initiative. Sorry to drag you back.
Sorry, guys, I happen to have a couple people come in right at the same time. Yes, so the update is pretty quick. We have been meeting monthly. Over the summer, we were able to decide what our 2 clear goals are, because under Urban Tree Canopy and across the whole Chicago Wilderness region, there's a lot that could be covered. So we decided to focus on, sorry, I'll just read it exactly as we wrote it. 2 goals. One is build capacity for tree care in under-resourced areas to improve the quality of life of residents in those areas. And goal 2, improve the visibility of career paths and training opportunities in our arboriculture. So we decided on those 2 things over the summer. At our September meeting, we had a few people from within our group present on different career track and early career type programs to see what exists already, what can we support. And we decided to try to compile all the existing resources, because we don't really need to create something new. There's a lot of stuff out there. It's just spreading awareness, connecting the dots, that sort of thing. We ended up having to skip our October meeting, partly because it fell during the World Forum for Urban Forestry, and because October is a busy planting month for everybody, and because grants just came out. So it was just not a great time to meet. So we skipped October. Our next meeting is November 21st. And the pattern that we're starting to develop here is we're going to have presentations from people on the committee and maybe some external voices if we find gaps that need filling on these 2 goals. So to keep moving along, and we'd like to plan a few field trips. So for example, the city of Milwaukee has an arborist apprenticeship program. And so we'd like to go up there and just check out how their program operates. So anyway, you may hear from me as I'm looking for people to speak on one of those 2 topics in some capacity, or if you have an idea for a field trip somewhere in the region, that would be fantastic. We'd love to plan something. The other thing is that I am the chairperson right now, but I'm going to definitely be looking for a co-chairperson. So if there's somebody in this group who is really excited about trees, especially somebody outside of Illinois, I'd like to get somebody who keeps checking me if I get too Illinois focused. Yeah, reach out to me. Otherwise, you may be hearing from me. And that's really all I've got for now.
Well, that's great. And I really appreciate the desire not to have too strong Illinois focus. That's great. Well, Mark Johnston says that he has some updates that we might be useful for us to hear for the hub. So thanks, Mark. That's great.
Yeah, I thought this might be useful just to kind of give you a quick update on some planned changes to the main sort of landing page on CW Hub for managing healthy lands. So let me just quickly share my screen here. Okay, and so this is the main landing page for managing healthy lands, and it's got all these kind of buttons across the top, and then the interactive map. One thought would be to change to something that looks more like this. That has, so this has like maps that are sort of stacked on top of each other. So this is the tracking map to track how we're doing with this goal. And then there's the restoration work map that users can log where they're doing their restoration work. You can also use the QR code, so it pops up here to use on your phone. This one I wasn't featuring before, but this is about critical bird hotspots. It's kind of a cool map. It uses eBird data, and it basically we look at during the breeding season, and then for migratory birds is kind of throughout the year, but it helps us to locate where different hotspots are by habitat type, and that habitat type is defined by the birds themselves. Like, so there's different hotspots for different species. I'll drop this into the chat so folks can check it out kind of on their own. And then there's the GIS sandbox. So it's kind of the one that you see on the main screen normally. With the tracking metrics, we've done some improvements to this. I'm probably going to continue to tweak the color scheme for it. But just as a reminder, we've got kind of these different categories here that natural areas can try to achieve. And so if you check off these different boxes, the sort of the shading for that parcel of land or that natural area will get a brighter green. And if you zoom in on one of the natural areas and click on it, it'll pop up it'll tell you out of those 5 categories, how many it's satisfied, and then what the sort of evidence is to back that determination of the 3 out of 5. And then over here on the right are kind of all the different layers that have been added to the map. We've kind of cleaned this up a little bit too and added more to it. So that's a lot, but yeah, it's nothing terribly new here, but just improvements and a change to the overall kind of design of how we might start to lay out these maps. So I'll drop this in. This is public, but it's not, this would be a new interface to help kind of streamline and simplify how we're sharing maps on CW Hub, but it's not featured there yet. So let me drop this. And if there are questions, feel free to jump in. So that's in the chat there, real messy URL.
It looks great. Those are some great updates. Thank you.
Yeah, and then the idea is we can continue to add more interactive maps here with this kind of a style. We can stack lots and lots of them. So the critical bird hotspots is just one example, but there are other maps, you know, that feature certain data sets that I think would be nice to share.
Cool. And Melissa, your hand is up.
Yeah, I'm curious. There's about managed lands, but I know that there's also a lot of I'm sorry, my mind is blanking on the organizations that were tracking backyards where people have habitats where they're trying to do native plantings and things like that. Is there a way to include those tiny little parcels? Because I think, you know, they're each small, but they probably build up to something bigger.
Yeah, I would say for that, I would consider that part of the green infrastructure goal probably. So I'd put that under goal 3. And let me think for that. Look at the goal 3 map. We actually are in the process of creating a kind of oh no, yeah, there is a goal tracking page now for goal 3 as well. I forgot that we went live with this. Share my screen again.
And you do have like wild ones and what the layer from.
Yeah, wild ones is included in this. Yeah, so that's probably what I guess we'd suggest is like you could add your data to wild ones, and we periodically sort of scrape that and put that into this data set as well.
There's also conservation at
Chicago
home.
area living quarters.
Yeah, it's conservation at home.
Yeah. So on the goal 3 page, there's now a goal tracking button here. So if you click on that, we also have it's very similar to what you just saw for goal 1, but we have different criteria here. And so included in that is habitat areas, native landscaping, pollinator gardens. So if users have data sets they want to add, I would encourage you to do that. Just go to the main, come back here to the main website. And if you don't have an account, you can create one. And then after you sign in, just get signed in here, you'll see this. Yeah, let's ignore that error. After you sign in, then you can click on this upload a data set and just follow the prompts here. It'll ask you a lot of sort of metadata questions, but you can upload your own data set here. And if it's for tracking, there's a question. I think I have to, it's a dynamic form, so the questions will change depending on what you answer up above. But one of the questions here is about whether it's for goal tracking. So look for this one. Mm-hmm. And if it is for goal tracking, like if it's meant for that goal 1 or goal 3 tracking page, then you'd want to click yes to this. And that just sort of gives us an alert to get it into the system and add it to that tracking page. Yeah, but this is what that interactive goal tracking page looks like for goal 3.
That's really great. It feeds right into the, especially this goal 3, and bringing in the smaller landowners and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Really well with the the 30 by 30, because it's the smaller parcels that we're going to have to start taking advantage of adding those in. So that's really cool. You've done so much work, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, and this one's still a work in progress. So I should mention I'm zoomed out right now, so it's it gives like these summary overviews. So the colored in areas are where more sort of activity is, more data is entered into the system. You zoom into it, and then it gives you these smaller polygons where, again, you can click on and sort of see evidence of what's happening. I think I'm going to play with the color scheme on these and make them probably match the initiative, or the color scheme of the initiative. And then again, you can see over here what's been loaded. You can click on these and it'll give you sort of the data in the hub, sort of show you where it's pulling from and metadata about it, how it got loaded. So yeah, please come and explore and try this out and give feedback. On the main page, if you have no one ever does this, but come to the main page and there's this button here that says your questions and feedback. You can always click on that and it'll go right to me, and I can get your suggestions or whatnot, and they can be anonymous, or you can leave your information. So yeah, check it out.
Great, thank you. Well, I still have not heard from Greg, which is really too bad, because he has a really nice presentation. I'll give you just a little bit of background. In 2019, the Illinois Indiana Sea Grant folks held a series of workshops on aquatic invasives, and it was actually really informative, and it was one of the last times that I remember being together with a whole group of people in kind of a workshop setting before all the pandemic caused those types of things to fall by the wayside. And he and his group have finally kind of summarized the data from those workshops and some summaries, and it is just, I think, a really great overview of where we are or where we aren't with our kind of regional understanding and action planning, if you will, for aquatic invasives. You know, for example, even though we got, you know, clean your propellers at pretty much every active boating site, I think everywhere, people don't always do that. And so we are still spreading Eurasian water milfoil all over the place, for example. You know, part of what this particular initiative is looking to do is trying to, you know, figure out what are the worst of the worst, what are the things we still have some hope of trying to get a handle on and controlling, where are, you know, sort of more land-based terrestrial restoration ecologists, where are we in terms of our understanding and implementation of control of of aquatic invasive. So it was just a really good overview, and you know, he's putting together kind of an action plan for a bunch of different sectors, and it's really too bad that he is not available to talk with us today, because it's a really great overview, and it ties incredibly well into the CWMA idea that we've been talking about here quite a bit. And I'm going to see, Laura just asked for Greg.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, if anybody has his contact information or his cell phone, I can try and give him a call.
Yeah, I don't see cell phone.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I do. I'm actually going to forward this email stream to you, Laura, if you don't mind reaching out to him. As I said, I'm not sure what's up because he did confirm just yesterday, so I'm a little concerned that maybe something happened. You know, is really too bad. But anyway, I thought it was a great lead-in for the whole cooperative weed management area that I know we keep talking about. And I also wanted to just bring a little bit of an update to this group. Some of you know this, some of you don't know this. There is a group of the goal team leads that meet, you know, maybe once a quarter to try and coordinate amongst the different CW groups, just to, you know, make sure that there's some crosstalk happening between all of the different goal team groups. And one of the things that came up in our last meeting, which was last week, is that people are finding that there are grant opportunities with some of the funding that has become available over the last year and will continue to be available over the next, you know, 10 years or so, where being part of a CWMA is a requirement to even be eligible for the grant. And so getting more people in different goal teams, sort of with the understanding that is you know, sort of an obstacle to being eligible to even apply for a grant is a really good thing. And so I have an additional recruit to that subgroup. And so I think we might actually now have a little bit of a critical mass of people, which we haven't had up until now, who might be available to work on trying to get a Chicago region-wide CWMA in the works. So I'm actually really excited about that. And I know some of you have volunteered, and I haven't followed up with you because there just haven't been enough of us yet. But I think there might be now. So I'm going to try and set aside some time to continue to kind of push that agenda forward now that I have a few extra people who might have some bandwidth to work on that with all of us. So I will be reaching out to you guys kind of in the near future. And I'm just going to wait for Laura to see if she can get Greg on the line and maybe have him join us. In the meantime, oh, she's back. Were you able to get in touch with her?
He did not pick up his phone, but I left a message and sent him an email and the Zoom link right now. So I'm wondering, maybe he'll join us shortly. I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, okay. He had the link and I'd sent him an email to remind him again this morning. So I think something probably is keeping him. So Jim, you have a comment or question?
Yeah, so I'm going to open a new subject that I think is really critical. And some folks in Chicago Wilderness have been talking about it, and I'm glad Melissa's here. And it's herbicide drift. And it's not only being a substantial issue in agricultural areas where people who don't have dicamba ready soybeans are losing their crops, but it's also become a real issue in our neighborhoods where people are putting down herbicides on their lawns, and dicamba happens to be one of them, and or some of the other ones. I guess there's a distinct difference between the amines and the esters, which one is less volatile than the other one, and we should be using that and encouraging that. But this is really hitting the oaks really hard, and a lot of people are seeing damage to their trees in their backyard, let alone natural areas. And so I know the state IDNR is they put up a link to a interactive map where applicators can see critical areas. And so essentially one of Mark's resource maps is up there. It has nature preserves, it has Illinois natural area inventories, it has public lands, and then sensitive areas. But that is not helping us at all with landscapers who are using these chemicals to treat. And part of it is just, I think, is education of when and when not to. These guys probably have assignments that, hey, you need to get these 10 lots done today, and even though there's a 25-mile-an-hour wind, they're still applying. And so I just wanted to bring that up and let everybody know that that's an issue. Especially this year during the dry periods, we were seeing significant impact of oak species, and it's something that we should be as an alliance thinking about. And I don't know where it fits properly. It seems like it does fit with the managing healthy landscapes and the oak ecosystem recovery plan. So I just wanted to bring that up and let everybody know that it is an issue, and the state is looking at it, but I think they're just going to be on their typical slow row. So I would encourage anybody that might be interested in that of thinking about that. So
Do
thanks.
you have that link, Jim, that you can put in the, oh, there you go. Thank you. Thanks, Ted.
I just put it in, and I don't know, Jim, if you've been on that map, maybe it's my system issues, but when I took a look at that link, when you gave it to us last week or earlier this week, whenever, I couldn't actually see any information on that map. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I don't know, maybe I don't have the right layers, but I couldn't get any data to pop up, even though I could access the map through the link. So I just wanted to make everybody sort of aware of that.
Yeah, it's working for me right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it must be my system then. I'm glad there's data on it because I couldn't see any.
Right. Well, thank you, Jim. And is there anything else that people want to share before we break up? Any other comments or questions or events?
Just
Thanks, Melissa. No, go ahead.
Sorry. I should have used the hand raising function. If you're interested in pursuing just what's going on with the dicamba, I think the tree growers are having some problems with their neighbors spraying it and affecting the, basically the trees are growing as their crop. So you may have some allies there.
The other thing about dicamba is it's usually part of a formulation of a herbicide, typically called triple selective herbicides. And dicamba amongst those ingredients leaches more readily than the other components, and that's where it has the most active ingredients on, or excuse me, active effects on oak trees.
Huh. So it's a soil, it's actually leaching into the soil and then being spread that way, Casey?
Yes, I believe that. So we saw evidence of this about, I don't know, 10 years ago here on site, and we no longer allow dicamba in any type of those kinds of treatments.
Yeah, it's both leaching and drift. That's really evident from agricultural applications.
Okay, great, thank you. And Matt has asked if we can briefly discuss the new state law about buckthorn. I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to go ahead and update us.
Sure. So, hey everybody. I gave a buckthorn presentation to the Glencoe Library yesterday, and this question came up, so I looked into it. And looks like Senate Bill 3433 is weeds, something about buckthorn removal. And the synopsis is that this amends the Illinois Exotic Weed Act. It provides that a municipality may adopt an ordinance to eradicate common buckthorn, glossy buckthorn, and several others on all private and public property within its geographic boundaries. I thought that some people on this call may know a little bit more about the history of this bill. I'm not really sure. I think to me it sounds like it just sort of solidifies for municipalities the ability to instate an ordinance and not get derailed by a couple of private landowners. That's kind of what it sounds like to me.
Right.
But anyway, it's encouraging.
Yeah, no, it's really encouraging. Melissa, I don't know if you know a little bit more about it.
This is the first I'm hearing about that, and I'm on the Illinois Invasive Species Council, so I feel like I should have known.
Yeah,
Thank you for
definitely.
the update.
Well, it looks like on May 13th, 2022. Was that the most recent thing?
Wow.
On the list here, something happened. Be it enacted. Yeah, okay.
Interesting.
I think it's a law.
Yeah, that's great. I know that a lot of the initiatives that come out of the CRTI group, any grant funding, et cetera, does ask that people kind of push, amending local ordinances surrounding trees. So this is maybe a kind of a really great way of pursuing that too. And Terry Horton said that she wants to bring our attention to the Illinois RX Act. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Similar to the Buckthorn Act that Melissa just mentioned of, where did this come from? This Illinois Outdoor Act was something that was brought to my attention in the last month, and it authorizes the formation of advisory committees with the plan of developing a format for giving out grants and to promote outdoor prescription programs for health benefits. And it kind of got bounced back and forth between the Illinois Department of Public Health and the IDNR. And right now, the development of the advisory committee is, I think, situated in the IDNR, and it's supposed to start in January 1. And again, other than seeing the the representative, Sonia Harper, who started this. I'm really trying to figure out who out there in the community pushed this forward, or whether this really just came from Representative Harper moving it on her own, because whenever I talk to people, it's the same shock of, I've never heard of this before. And clearly this is something that's really of importance and interest. So if anybody knows anything about the history, I'd love to know more about, if you know what you know.
Yeah, Terry, if you don't know, then it's kind of snuck under the radar. Is there anybody else have any comments or legislation they want to make us aware of that's out there?
Patty, I would like to ask Melissa to give us an update on the Invasive Species Council, because I think they did some work recently, and one of them was to include calorie pear on a list of species to consider in the near future to move to the exotic species list. And they're thinking about changing the rules. So Melissa, could you give us an update on that? Because I think that's really important.
Sure, and I wish I had prepared ahead of time to make sure I'm getting it right. So first of all, the Illinois Invasive Species Council does not have any authority. We can't enforce things. We can't create laws. We have no funding. We are completely an advisory board. So we take what we find from multi-agency committees, and we share that information with the people who can do something with it. The power of our committee is that we have representatives from public land managers, nonprofits, commercial side of things. We have growers, we have tree care companies. So it's a pretty representative group, so that it's not one-sided. So we are a pretty non-biased group. And we have committees focused on different things. So we do have, what you're referring to, the calorie pear, that's being tackled by our terrestrial invasives plants group. I don't remember their name is, but the terrestrial plants. We also have an aquatics group. We have a wildlife group. So they each are focusing on their own species, and each group is really one by one. They've got a list of species that they like to review, and then they go through everything that we know about how these organisms are interacting in this state, and what has been done in other states in terms of restrictions. So to your direct question about calorie pear, it is on the short list for plans to be tackled by the terrestrial vegetation group. They started with some of their lower hanging fruits because, go through the process, test out their mechanisms, but they have basically a standardized system for evaluating these different species. And in 2024, they will be looking at calorie pear. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it's already been banned in some states bordering us. And I think the growers and some landscape contractors are already aware that for years it's been popping up as a potential invasive. So yeah, there's not a lot I can say very directly, except that yes, it will be evaluated this year. And if you would like to be involved in that process, I'm sure that work group would be interested in more input.
How do you provide input on that? We have that as we spend a significant amount of money on that species now. So if that would be helpful to present the impact to public lands, be happy to do that.
That would be fantastic. Becky, if you reach out to me, I'll make sure you get connected with the chairpersons for that group.
Okay, thanks.
And
Melissa,
same thing.
And Melissa, your group is also working on changing the way, or trying to change the way that exotic species get listed. Right now, it has to go through the state legislature to approve it. And I believe the Invasive Species Council is working to change that to an administrative rule, and so that it would be easier to get things listed in the future.
That has not come up in the last two meetings, but you're saying it very confidently. So it's possible.
Right.
Some people on the committee are working on that, and I just have not paid attention to that part.
Great. Well, this has been really interactive. What people have been sharing lots of stuff, so that's awesome. I really appreciate it. It is what I think a lot of us, hoped that this would be, if you got something to share, and get the message across, that's really great. Anybody?
Can I ask one other thing, Patty, before
Yes,
we?
please do.
Okay. I know that in the last month or so, there's been like 3 confirmed sightings of the spotted lanternfly in Cook County. None within the Cook County Forest Preserves, but within the city of Chicago. So I was just wondering, we're kind of trying to think about impacts to natural lands from that species. What I have heard is that it's not the same as emerald ash borer, that it's primarily a concern for landscape species and aesthetics of species, but I'm just wondering what other agencies are doing, if anything, to prepare for that, or if anyone has any experience on how that insect has impacted natural areas. I'm kind of in an information gathering phase.
That's a great question. Thank you. And I agree, Laura, it would be a great topic for a cafe, because I've heard the same as you, or read the same as you. When I saw those reports, I also wanted to try and figure out how we need to get out in front of it, what impacts were potential. And I also found a lot of the same information that basically said that it's mostly aesthetic, it's kind of gross, because of the droppings, et cetera, more like a big aphid infestation than anything else. And so and that's really all I've heard. There's some control methods that people are trying to, slow the spread. Clearly it's not working very well, but at least, it's better than doing nothing. So I don't know if anybody else here has any better information. But it is, oh my gosh, it is great. I can't even believe it. I think we have Greg Hitzroth in the room. So I think trying to follow up on that is really really important. Like anything else, that if we can figure out whatever control methods, if we need to control it sooner rather than later, is really important. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Patty. Sorry,
Hi.
I migrated to a new computer and all my settings are weird, so I missed my notification. Sorry.
It happens. I would love for you to spend, just a little bit of time just providing an overview to the group of some of the things that you shared with us in our last set of meetings, and just provide an update of all things aquatic invasive and where that initiative is at. And you should be able to share your screen if you have anything that you want to, any slides or anything.
Oh no, I'll just grab for a minute. So we've hosted so I'm with Illinois Indiana Sea Grant and Illinois Natural History Survey. And so my title is Aquatic Invasive Species Outreach Specialist. So my name's Greg Fitzroth. And so pretty much what we've been doing recently is trying to figure out who's actually interested in aquatic invasive species and actually have ability to do actionable items around that topic in the Chicagoland area. This all kind of came out of being paired with someone from, I believe it was the Adler at the Chicago Wilderness or Wild Things conference a few years ago. It was the only 2 aquatics talk was mine and the guy who was trying to find the meteorite in Lake Michigan. And so I figured there's probably a bit more interest in aquatics than probably representational of that session. So
Hey,
I
Bill?
was trying to.
You have a call coming in on your phone down here. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, and then so the idea was just trying to pull together people who are interested in aquatic invasive species in the Chicagoland area to have some face-to-face chit-chat time. So we hosted a meeting in September of 2019, and it seemed pretty successful. We had about 30 participants come and talk about what they do around AIS or what they would like to do around AIS. And then, you know, a little pandemic thing happened, so not a lot of face-to-face. And then we hosted a couple more meetings about was that a month ago? To kind of rehash like what we covered at that meeting and kind of trying to find a way forward again with like kind of a core group of people in Chicago. And part of the idea too is that like we all live probably pretty close to one another in this area. So Chicago Wilderness is like pretty drivable. So we're all within about a day of one another. So if there's like something on the ground or in-person meetings, that's something that it's a good possibility. So that was just kind of the idea. So we're trying to figure out whether or not this could be part of something else. There's a lot of, we collected feedback at the end of that workshop in 2019, and everyone pretty much said that they wanted more workshops like this. And so it was pretty well received universally. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Some of the things that we could do proactively, I think, is like, I think the main thing from the meetings recently that I think Patty may have brought people up to speed a little bit on was that trying to find like a venue for the topic. So whether or not maybe this group would be good to integrate into this group, or if it's something that we need to do independently of this group and just try to figure out a different mean of doing it. So that do about accurate, Patty?
Yep, it occurs to me, and I'll bring this up at a future meeting. It's a little far in the future, maybe, but the Chicago Wilderness Alliance does have they're in the beginning stages of planning the next Congress. And so that this might be, you know, at least one topic that we could consider. So, but that's pretty far out. We may want to think of other venues that you can kind of present this at, because you had some pretty good, I think we had to, you know, at the end of the last couple of meetings, I think there were some pretty good action items, you know, that kind of came out of those subsequent discussions that we just recently had.
Yeah, and we have like a pretty robust program already around AIS, like outreach and prevention. So it's one of those things where we could always use more warm bodies to like actually help get the message out to. So there's like stuff like that we can do. So we can either help provide education or training on aquatic invasive species issues or topics to you or your agencies or like hobbyist groups that you are in contact with. So any kind of stakeholders that you have that are interested in this topic, we could probably help facilitate some education information exchange. But yeah, and we're always like growing and trying to find new topics. So if there's something that we can do for the community, we're always interested in that kind of thing. So one of the things that we're trying to do right now is actually try to work, and we're grant funded, so you know we move at the pace of grants, and like so it's trying to get our materials out through University of Illinois Extension agents a little bit more. So trying to work through that vein a bit more. We're trying to work on doing some master naturalists, I can never actually say that, trainings for macrophyte and crayfish sampling as well. And so those are some things we have coming up pretty soon.
Okay.
So
cool, great. Well, thank you. Glad you were able to join us. And
sorry about that.
No worries. I totally, it happens to me. I totally get it. And you know, but appreciate that you were able to join us. And Laura has put in the chat that we could start with the cafe in the new year, and I agree. So if you don't know, Greg, Chicago Wilderness Cafes are about an hour and a half venue, and they're kind of more virtual workshop-y kind of things, but they draw from a really broad audience, and I agree. I think that this would be a good venue for that. And maybe it's more follow-up with, what came out of the workshops that you did, and what some follow-up might be, and maybe we can get Keith Gray to weigh in at that cafe, because that's like kind of where he's from ILM, Integrated Lakes Management.
Okay.
Hi.
Great.
And
Keith just joined us. Keith just joined us right now.
yeah.
So
well,
Keith, we were just talking about aquatic invasive species here with Greg from Illinois Indiana Sea Grant, just to catch you up to speed.
Yeah, not to put you on the spot. You popped up at the right time, Keith. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, so we didn't hear that.
Sorry about that. I'm totally out of character and out of sorts. Sorry about that.
No worries. It's kind of the theme of the day, I think. But we are pretty much wrapping up. Greg was talking about kind of a couple of workshops that he and his group that Illinois Indiana Sea Grant did on aquatic invasives, along with some potential follow-up and looking for a venue. And you popped up at the right moment, and maybe that is a really good way to bring some more actual application into the mix, Greg. So maybe I will offline reach out to both of you, and maybe we can work on a date in early January and do one of these cafes. And it'd be great for Keith or somebody else from ILM to bring their perspective as well as the perspective that you have, and any others who you might think we want to have be part of like a panel or something.
Yeah, we would love to do it. And January is a perfect time to do it, right? Because everybody's inside and there's not a whole lot to be doing outside. So as you know, our lakes and ponds are pretty well frozen over.
Hope that's the case this year.
Yeah, I know. And just as an aside, I was busy this morning with two gentlemen that flew in this morning from Connecticut. We're talking about a dredging project in Connecticut, and I'm like, what in the world are you thinking? I mean, look at a map latitude wise, you're not a whole lot different than Chicago, but and I don't pay attention to the weather in Connecticut, but he said the last 3 years, they've been able to dredge right through the winter. I mean, the weather's been that warm there, and it's really amazing at how much things have changed and how fast it's changing. I live in Wisconsin, and there's been pink flamingos sighted along Lake Michigan. So, it is kind of a topsy-turvy world here.
Yep, it sure is. Well,
I put my email in the chat if everyone wants to reach out to maybe help out as well. I mean, Keith, Patty, and I, but I think maybe someone else wants or is interested in helping us create this cafe, then that would be good. I'm always looking for people to help.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm pretty at capacity most days. So.
I totally understand that. Okay, well, thanks everybody. I'm so happy to have the back and forth that we had today, and I will see you again in the next quarter, if not before. And I have an action list of things and people that I need to follow up with, and so some of you should be hearing from me soon. Thanks everybody. I appreciate your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Patty.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Hi.